if you don't like listening to children cry, do not listen to these audios.
I hope you're going to put that before.
Yeah, I will. Oh, because of the audio.
I'm handing Ashley my headphones.
Yay!
Today is a special episode.
I have a headband on. Okay, here we go.
Clickety click click. Okay.
Hello. Welcome back to Crime and Coconut.
Yes, this is Scary Sunday, number 2. Yes.
How are you guys?
Yeah.
Feeling spooky yet? Amanda and I already went to one pumpkin patch so far this year, so we're in the spooky season. Did you guys like those pictures? Because they will have seen them at that point.
It's hard to record like this because we're recording before we actually released anything.
I know, nobody knows anything that's going on right now.
Alright, this particularly scary Sunday, I had a hard time picking my scary articles. I had a really hard time. Also, I would like to redact what I said the last podcast about how I'm afraid of ghosts. I'm not afraid of ghosts. I'm afraid of people.
Yeah.
I watched The Conjuring yesterday.
And she swore she wouldn't.
And I was like, I'm too scared. I can't watch it. I'm not going to do it. And I watched it and I was like, this shit is weak. And I think that's from doing the podcast, to be honest.
You're like, that's not real. It's just a shared hysteria.
Yeah. It's shared it's shared psychosis. It's not a ghost. Oh my god. Okay.
It's a poltergeist brought on by their own negative energy.
Yeah. Basically. But I did see they had Elizabeth. No, is that her name, Elizabeth?
Yeah. No, Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Or Lorraine, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where did Elizabeth come from?
You just conflated Edward and Lorraine.
Yeah, Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yes.
They're in that, The Conjuring, and they had a little snippet of like how they're actual people, and I was like, don't Ashley, just
I don't. We just talked about them. We'll probably talk about them. They're involved in a lot of paranormal stories that are really common, so I'm sure they'll come up again at some point.
Yeah, probably.
I would love to go to their house museum.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. We were making jokes about how all the ghosts and demons are like having a party in that room. They're like, "Oh, what's up?"
Mm-hmm.
Can't think of a
Annabelle.
demon name. Yeah. Haven't seen you in 200 years. What you fucking up today?
I heard somewhere that they don't, like, it wasn't, well, they're dead now, so I don't know if it's different, but it was...
I thought I was still alive.
No, I think he died last year,
recently.
I could be wrong about that. I don't know, I thought he died, though. But they wouldn't, like, it wasn't a museum, like, you couldn't, like, buy tickets to go see it, but occasionally, like, if you traveled to come see it, they were known to, like, let people in to see the stuff that was in there, so...
That's nice. I wouldn't want anyone touching my spooky shit either, to be honest.
They had a lot of stuff, like, locked in boxes, surrounded with holy water and, like, different forms of blessings. Like, they took it very seriously. They're lucky. Yeah. Like, people are lucky anybody let them in.
Right. Today, I've got 3 scary audios for you guys.
Fuck me up. I'm ready. So happy it's daylight.
I'm gonna say, if anyone is uncomfortable with hearing people die on audio, the first one is pretty safe. There's no people dying. But the second one and the third one are a little gruesome. So if listening to people die is not your thing, don't listen. And if it is your thing, you probably should go to therapy.
Yep. This episode just comes with, like, a major warning. There will be audio put in, like how I've done before with people's interviews. I'll put these audios in where they need to go. But yeah, like Amanda said, if that's something you're not really feeling like listening to, maybe just don't.
Yes. So I'm going to say, to make it easier for your editing purposes, save all comments for the end.
Okay.
That way people aren't listening
It'll
in silence.
Make sense.
Or you can make comments and just, like,
snip them in
or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. You're the one that does all that shit.
I'll figure it out.
Okay. So this one is called Ghost Tape number 10, or The Wandering Soul audio.
That's, like, the name's just fucking spooky.
Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm
ready.
I'm going to play it for you. Alright.
Oh, no.
What do you have to say?
First of all, don't listen to these audios really late at night, because if everything around you is silent and dark, you're going to be, even if you're not a believer in things like that, it's just very unsettling sounds.
Yes. So I'm going to tell you to ease your mind, those aren't ghosts.
Oh, thank God.
Those aren't ghosts. I feel like if those were...
If that was EVPs, I would instantly believe in ghosts.
Yeah, if that was like an EVP, I think that would be like the most well-known disputable proof of ghosts. But it's not. The Wandering Soul audios, what you just listened to, it's in Vietnamese. You can hear a young girl talk in the beginning, and she says, "Daddy, Daddy, come home with me, come home, Daddy, Daddy." And then the ghost father responds, "Hi, who is it? Who is calling me? My daughter, my wife. Your father is back home with you, my daughter. Your husband is back home with you, my wife. But my body is gone. I am dead, my family. Tragic, how tragic. My friends, I come back to you to tell you that I am dead. I am dead. I am in hell, just hell. It was a senseless death. How senseless, how senseless. But when I realized the truth, it was too late. Friends, while you are still alive, there's a chance you can be reunited with your loved ones. Do you hear what I say? Go home, friends. Hurry, if not, you will end up like me. Go home, my friends, before it's too late."
Whew!
This was used by the U.S. Army and AVRN forces to broadcast in missions to use against the Vietnamese as psychological warfare.
It would, I bet you it fucking worked, because wow.
It didn't, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
That shit's scary, though.
Yeah. I would be terrified. I'm sure it did scare people.
Especially, like, a war-torn soldier, or, like, the women and children, like, at home, if they're hearing this, who are already, like, scared shitless every single day from the war.
Mm-hmm. So, the logic behind this psychological warfare was the Vietnamese believed at the time of the war, I don't know if this is still true, but at the time they were all very heavily religious, and the U.S. used this to our advantage. It was believed that the dead must be buried properly, and if not, their soul would wander endlessly in pain and suffering. U.S. engineers spent weeks recording this. It was meant to instill a sense of turmoil and fear to the Viet Congs in order to get them to flee their positions. The audio was played on loudspeakers outside of bases. Sometimes helicopters would broadcast, and the goal was to encourage the Viet Congs to defect and abandon posts. The success rate is unknown, but the typical response was return fire upon hearing the recordings. I feel like if this was the only audio they used, they probably
You would be able to tell that it's audio.
They probably quickly learned that the Americans were doing this and knew, like, okay, if we shoot... Because they had these, like, backpacks with speakers on them.
Yeah.
And I feel like they would think, well, let's just shoot in that direction. We're going to hit somebody, kind of
right.
thing. You're carrying around a radio on your back. Like, what the fuck?
At the same time, even if they were skeptical and they thought, well, what if that is my loved one? You can't shoot a ghost. So they probably were just like, well, got a 50-50 chance of being right that this is an American soldier out there with that sound coming from them. If it's a ghost, nothing will happen. But if it's a soldier out...
And I also don't know, like, what their penalty was for defecting, because it could have been way worse than either way, you're not going to get the proper burial, so you might as well,
go out with a bang. Yeah.
Right. An honorable mention, I was watching something. Soldiers would also place an ace of spade cards in the dead Viet Cong's mouths to instill fear and become sort of like a fucked up, the last thing you see will be the ace of spades. And they were called death cards. And they would write their, like, unit number on them. Oh. And that way, like... And they also had, like, planes fly over, and they would just drop tons of ace of spade cards to, like, scare people.
That is very strange.
Mm-hmm.
The Vietnam War. I'm gonna avoid saying anything negative about it, but what a war.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. Ugh. I can, like, hear it again in my ears. But I think it's kind of actually pretty clever, though. Like, obviously it didn't work, and they probably could have thought it out better. But for them to use their own spirituality against them, to know enough about them.
And also to have, I'm sure that was some, like, American that was recording that.
Right.
And to have, like, a pretty fluent Vietnamese...
Like, dialect, yeah.
You ready for the next one?
Yeah, hold on. That was a lot. I'm ready.
This one's even more a lot.
More a lot.
Yes. The Wandering Ghost audio, Ghost Hit number 10, you can find it anywhere on YouTube. Like, It's just everywhere, so I don't really have a source for that one.
Okay.
You can source whatever video you want. My source for the next one is Lazy Masquerade. And if you don't watch Lazy Masquerade on YouTube, you need to.
This has been a PSA.
I love Lazy Masquerade. He does a bunch of, like, top 10 most horrifying audios, or top 10 scariest true Reddit stories, or, 5 mysterious cases of home invasion. Like,
if you want to freak yourself out at, like, 2 o'clock in the morning.
I used to just listen to them on the way to work.
Me with my true crime podcast.
That's how most people wake up with coffee. I wake up with adrenaline. I'm like,
I wake up with fucked up stories in my ear as I'm doing my mundane office work. I totally understand.
Yeah. So, this one, when I heard it, I could not stop thinking about it.
Oh, I hate when you say that to me, because then I won't stop thinking about it.
My mom is a 911 dispatcher.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, she is.
That's so cool.
So, this is a dispatch call that's used in training as what not to do when taking a call.
Oh,
no. Ruth Price is the woman in question who called. She's about 60-something years old. And she noticed a man lurking around her apartment. She claims she lives alone and isn't sure who the man is.
Oh, no. And this is real? It's not just
It's real.
Ah, okay. Oh, no.
She dies.
I'm ready.
Okay.
This is Ruth Price of 3877. What's the problem, ma'am? Oh, well, there's some guy been checking the place out. How? Well, he went in the back. I have an apartment in the back, and he said he was looking for a guy. And he comes to my door. Yes? And said he's looking for an apartment. So I live alone, and I'm an old lady. Mm-hmm. Where is he now, ma'am? I don't have no idea.
Oh my god.
It's very short. It's only about a minute long call.
Oh my god. My heart just fell out of my ass.
Yeah.
That poor woman.
The dispatcher should always ask what the address of the emergency is first.
Immediately.
So that they can send help regardless of the situation. You can hear Ruth pause before saying she has no idea where the man is, followed by her screams, and the line hangs up.
Oh my god, it's awful.
Unfortunately, Ruth was killed, and since police had no location as to where to begin looking, the man escaped and they never found him. I saw a small part saying that Ruth was fairly paranoid and would frequently call the police, but I would assume if she frequently called the police, they would have her address.
Exactly.
But it's basically the woman isn't taking the call seriously, didn't ask for the address, and
yeah, she
was bludgeoned to death.
Oh my god.
And
do we know anything, like, was it a robbery or was it just some...
No, I don't know.
That's awful.
Yeah.
That one's really bad. And the fact that it only gets worse from here, I mean, that's just really bad.
There's a bunch of other ones on that same video. That was 5 unsolved mysteries with disturbing phone calls.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That makes me think of, there's another famous case I'll do at some point, and I'm not going to say the name because you might know it, but a social worker is taking kids to their father's house, like, for their visitation, their supervised visit, and he slams the door in her face, and she can't get let in, so she calls 911 right away because she smelled gasoline in the house as he shut the door. And the dispatcher he was like, well, I don't think this is a life-threatening emergency, so I'm not going to send anyone. What? Literally, over the phone, said that to her. It drives me crazy, like, to know. And I understand, like, but see, here's the thing. I was always told that if you called 911, because they're supposed to send someone no matter what, if it's a false alarm, you can get into trouble if you're just faking a call.
I think that depends on the area. Like, my mom works for City of Akron.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder if she knows my friend Jesse. He's a dispatcher, too.
Oh, maybe. Probably.
Yeah.
And there's not enough units to be sent on every single phone call that gets called in.
Okay.
So there is at a point where you do have to kind of, you send units to the most pertinent calls first.
Right.
And if there is somebody, hanging around not doing anything and, your situation is like someone broke into my car, they'll send somebody if they can. But if they're like, listen, we're, I don't know what they say, but they're all booked or
right.
tied up.
Right.
You'll have to wait.
Which isn't their fault. But they should still follow procedure.
Right.
Every time.
You shouldn't tell somebody their situation isn't life-threatening.
Yeah. Because how do you know?
Right.
I mean, Ruth did sound very calm on the phone for the most part. She's like, I don't really know where he is. I just, like, it's freaking me out. Could you please send somebody?
Yeah.
But he was already there at that point.
Yeah. I feel like police wouldn't have gotten there in time regardless.
It still would have happened. But it still was not handled the right way. Oh, that was really bad. I'm going to probably dream about that at night now. Thanks. That was good.
You're welcome.
Oh, my God.
Ready for the next one?
I'm ready.
This is the next and final one. I only did 3.
Thank God.
I did want to make an honorable mention. There was a nightclub venue that burnt down, and in the video you can hear the people getting trapped in the door and screaming as they're being burned alive.
Oh my God.
I didn't do that one because it was a video and not an audio, and it's not very long, and it's just kind of listening to people die without any really backstory, so I just kind of skipped over it.
That's like that 9/11 video I was telling you about. That one really I cry every time I hear it. It really bothers me.
Also, I'm going to preface this story with, I hate when innocent people die.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it tears me up. Like, I will cry for every single innocent person that's died. And every time 9/11 comes around, I listen to the phone calls of people saying goodbye to their loved ones, and, like, people in the Twin Towers talking about, like, I'm going to die, aren't I?
That's the one I'm talking about. And the guy's like, lady, there's, like, 3 of us trapped on this floor. Like, this is it, isn't it? And then you hear the building fall on them. You hear it. And
the building. Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so this is really messing me up.
And it makes me so sad. So this one...
that being said...
is the Jonestown death tape.
I know this story. I didn't know it was on tape.
I was this close, like microscopically close, to trashing the other 2 audios and just doing mine specifically on this one.
Yeah.
I might do another longer episode on it.
Because this would be a normal true crime one, too. Like, you could do this, the whole story of this.
So I kind of just made, like, a quick little synopsis of...
Jonestown.
The story of Jonestown, and then we're going to go into the audio.
Okay.
So, a brief rundown of these events. This took place in the 70s in America. Jim Jones originally started his movement, the People's Temple, in Indiana, and eventually moved to California. He was an extremely charismatic man who was virtually well-intentioned, at least at the beginning. He was a civil rights activist, and in the 70s, that was pretty well known. He was pretty well known for his radical way of thinking and had a pretty well blended family.
Okay.
Someone in an interview said he wasn't any kind of ist. He wasn't racist. He wasn't sexist. He was,
just who he was.
Yeah.
And loved everybody.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people were like, we would have joined him.
Followed him.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He's very charismatic.
Especially at this time, cults were popping in the 70s.
Well, people want to feel secure and, dealing with, the Cold War and shit. And, yeah, whatever. When was the Cold War?
I want to say it started, well, I mean, the Cold War is technically not over.
Yeah.
But I want to say it started, in the 50s.
Yeah, so, after some issues growing on his community, I think he wanted to build in California, and they told him no due to laws, he convinced about 1,000 people to move with him to Guyana in Brazil. It's like a jungle.
Okay.
In South America. Maybe not Brazil, I don't know. I'm really bad at geography.
South America. Somewhere.
Yeah. A group was formed called the Concerned Relatives that consisted of such people claiming that Jones was denying people of their human rights, and some investigations were done.
Concerned Relatives just sounds icky. I don't even like that.
Well, he took someone's kid with them, and there were a lot of people that were in his little cult that had relatives that were concerned for them, being they moved with him to this
we don't know where
fucking
they
jungle.
Are. Yeah.
And they were underfed, and they were worked very hard and things like that. So, and it was the jungle. It's not very
it's not out in California where you could get to help if you needed it.
Yeah. And there were a couple people who wanted to defect and leave.
Mm-hmm.
So Congressman Leo Ryan, NBC reporter Don Harris, cameraman Bob Brown, and San Francisco Examiner photographer Greg Robinson, and the Temple member Patricia Parks were killed on the Port Kaituma okay, hold on.
I think you did that right.
Port Kaituma airstrip
okay.
on November 18th, 1978, after going to retrieve some people who wanted to defect from the temple and gather evidence about human rights stuff. And you can actually find their, news snippet before all this happened. They only went one time.
Yeah.
There's footage of the camp or town or whatever. And there's a woman, I don't remember her name, but she ended up being a congresswoman doing an interview with a girl, and she was like, I just want to go home.
Oh.
And she goes, well, where's your home? She goes, the U.S. And
That's so sad.
so they tried to take some people with them. There were about 15 people that wanted to leave. And when they tried to leave, Jim had people shoot at them and try to kill them. On this same day, the greatest loss of American civilian life occurred. This was before 9/11, obviously, because 9/11 is now the greatest loss. Some claim this is a mass suicide, or a mass murder-suicide, or just plain murder.
From what I know, I would say it's mostly just murder, but there were some people, I think, that really did believe in what they were doing.
I would say it's mass murder-suicide.
Yeah.
The temple would also hold these things called white nights that simulated a mass suicide, and Jim would give out liquids that, after he drank them, would be like, I'm just kidding, it's not poison, I was just testing you. So they had practiced this, basically.
But they wouldn't know it was practice.
Yeah. Well, and if you have been to a very spiritual church, there's an atmosphere.
Yes.
Especially on late at night, extremely moving, you're really in the groove. I'm sure in these settings, people were like, let's take this, it's very ceremonial, we're going to take this poison. When those people died on the airstrip, Jim called an emergency meeting. Everyone went in. It's the middle of the day. Everyone's panicked.
It wasn't a ceremony.
Were murdered. And Jim started giving a sermon.
Oh, no.
And he says, you can't take off with people's children without expecting a violent reaction. If we can't live in peace, then let us die in peace.
Oh, no. No, Jimmy boy.
Babies can be heard crying and babbling in the background, just normal, children sounds.
Normal baby sounds.
When he mentions suicide, there's a slight murmuring among the group, and then states that if anyone has an outstanding opinion, they can state it. Let me tell you, there was almost 1,000 people here.
How is anybody gonna get their word in?
It was a huge fucking group of people. A lot of them, 300 were minors.
How are they even
Honestly,
allowed
a
there?
lot of people were either quiet, cheered him on, and only a few people tried to get up and say something. One of those people was Christine Miller.
I think I've heard. Isn't she like a little older?
I think so.
I think I've heard.
But
about
she
her.
dies.
Oh no.
Christine Miller states her opinion and says, anything is possible, we can airlift to Russia. And he had he had said some things about how he's working with Russia to have them go there so he can escape the tyranny from the U.S. trying to whatever.
Kill his cult. Yeah.
Jim responds, death is not a fearful thing. It's living that is treacherous. And some people cheer him on.
Very Hamlet of him. Okay.
He also says that Russia will not airlift them after the murders on the airstrip, using previously planted mentions of conspiracy theories. Like he's talked about conspiracy theories. He threatens that hostile forces would convert their children to fascism and torture and kill them, their children and their people. And he talks about the elders too. There's a lot of old people living there.
Yeah.
Many of the temple members held a hard disdain for fascism and deemed this as an excuse valid for suicide.
Oh no. This man sounds like he's very smart. Like he's very intelligent and he knew the right things to say.
His son, Jim Jones Jr., is still alive, I think.
His fucking son wasn't there?
He escaped, I think. Oh my God. And he's a political figure and he's very normal and very intelligent man as well.
Good for him.
He was his adopted son.
Yeah. But for him to survive this.
Yeah.
And still live with it.
And he says, I was thankful that I had the upbringing I did, with the people I knew and the political, stance I had as, even as a child. And, yes, I do more in that day, but those are my father's actions and not mine.
Good for him.
So, yeah.
Wow.
People also say... I'm going to take off my sweater. I'm
It's
hot.
okay. I like that shirt. I like
Thank
waffle
you.
neck shirts.
Thanks. People also say that, he wasn't always that paranoid, and a few people saw him slip into
Paranoia.
what he became
Yeah.
when this happened. Christine goes on to say, too few have left for 1,200 people to give their lives here. Jim says the plane will surely go down and they will all die and it will not be on their own terms. Christine retorts calmly a few times and says, as long as there is life, there is hope. Jim sighs in frustration, but calmly restates how life has no meaning and how he is the best friend any of them will ever have and is met with cheers.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting to do to people.
He also says no plane is taking off, it's suicide. Straight up tells everybody we're killing ourselves. Another man comes up. I don't know if this man had a name. I tried to look into it, but he talks a few times. Mm-hmm. And he says, let's make it a beautiful day, and is met with cheers. Jim says, I would not have stepped in this seat if I did not know what I was talking about. Christine says, I think we all have a right to our own destiny as individuals. The man replies, you are only standing here because he was here in the first place, so I don't know what you're talking about having an individual life.
And he's not wrong, though. That's a fair point to bring up.
And Jim says, you will regret it if you do not die today. The man exclaims, if you tell us we have to give our lives now, we ready. Followed by cheers.
Oh my God, this is, hurting me. And I'm trying to put myself in the position, I've never been in any sort of similar situation where I felt let me kill myself with other people. Or do something that drastic. But I don't, it's not these people's fault. They were taken advantage of. And I don't know the whole story of Jim Jones. Maybe he did truly believe in what he was doing. But I think at this point it probably became pretty real for him. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, we might as well all go. It's not just going to be me. Yeah. It's going to be all of us.
Yeah. This is a 45-minute long audio.
Oh, no.
So I chopped it up to the important bits. I listened to the whole thing.
Wow, that was a rough 45 minutes, I bet.
Well, the first, 30 minutes, 20-ish, 30 minutes are just people talking. It's kind of boring. Then you get down to the nitty-gritty. So I'm going to play a minute of audio for you.
Okay.
I don't really remember. I have a couple of clips of audio I'm going to show you, so...
Okay.
You can just explain what you heard afterwards, or...
Okay, sounds good. Isn't this event where the term drinking the Kool-Aid came from?
Yes. It was cyanide and Kool-Aid. All right.
So we might as well end it now because I don't see.
Talking. The congressman has been murdered. It's all over, all over. What a legacy, what a legacy. But the Red Brigade's the only ones that ever made any sense anyway. They invaded our privacy, they came into our home, they followed us 6,000 miles away. The Red Brigade showed them justice. The congressman's dead. Please get us some medication. It's simple, there's no convulsions with it, it's just simple, just please get it. Before it's too late, the GDF will be here. I tell you, get moving, get moving, get moving. Yeah. Don't be afraid to die. If these people land out here, they'll torture some of our children here. They'll torture our people, they'll torture our seniors. We cannot have this. Are you going to separate yourself from whoever shot the congressman? I don't know who shot him.
Even that is like unsettling to hear him talk about like the congressman getting. He's like, I don't know who shot him. That's scary. Like,
some things said that Jim directed the men to shoot them, like they're trying to take my children, kill them, or if these people were just under like themselves. That kind of idealism that they felt like they had to.
I wouldn't put it past him to have said something vague, like go take care of this, knowing what they would interpret it as without giving the direct order.
Probably. And then Jim goes on to say, I don't know how they're ever going to write about us. It's too late. The congressman is dead. He talks about the congressman dying. Like, we fucked up, like, American politics. Like, this is...
If they're going to come for us.
In this next clip I'm going to show you, it's about another minute of audio. You can kind of hear a woman gets up and starts directing people where to stand and, like, get ready to take it.
Please, can we hasten with that medication? You don't know what you've done. I tried. Move, please move.
Wesley told me there were 2 GDF guys.
They saw it happen and ran in the bush and dropped their machine guns. I never in my life. But there'll be more. You got to move. Are you going to get that medication here? You got to move. Marston, they've got 40 minutes.
You have to move, and the people that are standing there in the aisle go stay in the radio room yard, but everybody get behind the table and back this way, okay? There's nothing to worry about. Everybody keep calm and try and keep your children calm. And the older children can help love the little children and reassure them. Children aren't crying from pain. It's just a little bitter tasting, but they're not crying out of any pain.
Oh my God, they're not crying out of any pain. It's just bitter. That's why they're crying. No,
so, there's some... If you listen to the audio... Skip to about, like, you can find it on YouTube, whatever. The one I got this from, it's titled Jim Jones Death Tape 1978, and it's from the user HIGH space Def, DEAF, and that's the source I have for this. Yeah. So when you listen to it without these pauses in between, like I'm showing you, there's some cloudiness as to when the parents begin to give their children the cyanide punch.
Yeah.
But then you start to realize they're not just cries of uncomfort, they're cries of pain and death.
Yeah.
A few people managed to escape, and there are survivors.
Oh my God.
But if anyone denied drinking the Kool-Aid or was caught escaping, they were injected with it.
That's what I had heard that they were.
And there was a large majority of people that were injected with it.
Oh no.
The man, whoever this guy is, says, "It feels so good, you've never felt so good."
Cyanide, like, rips you up from the inside out.
And then children can be heard screaming and crying.
Yeah, I could hear the kids.
The parents give their kids and children the Kool-Aid first, and they're told by Jim it's okay if you want to go with your kids, but the rule is the kids go first and then the adults go.
Oh my god.
Around 28 minutes and 10 seconds, you can hear a woman groan. Jim says, "It's hard, but only at first." A woman comes up to speak her words and says, "I just want to say something to everyone that I can see standing around and crying. This is nothing to cry about. This is something we should all rejoice about." Then she says, "A few of us gone, but there's many more here. That's not all of us." And clapping and cheering can be heard.
That's terrifying.
And maybe I'm mistaken. They sound like cheers. Maybe they're not. I mean,
maybe it's a mix.
There was like 900 people here, so.
Yeah.
And then, I don't remember if it's her or Jim says it, but it says, "Lay down your life with dignity, not tears and agony." So you can hear the pain in these people. This audio got me. This next one.
No. Sorry to guess.
36 minutes and 41 seconds. A child, you have to listen a little close, but a kid says, "I don't feel good." Like cries. And then a woman at 46 seconds says, screams, "Don't give it to me."
Oh no.
So,
I'm not. Don't judge me if I cry.
So, kids crying is like...
I can't handle it.
That maternal instinct kind of kicks in. So I'm going to start at 36 seconds, so at 41, listen for these people.
Okay.
And then I'll end it about a half a minute later.
Okay. Pray for me, guys.
Mother, 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 please. Mother, please, 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 don't do this, don't do this. Lay down your life with your child, but don't do this. Free at last. Please, keep your emotions down, keep your emotions down. Children, it will not hurt if you'll be quiet, if you'll be quiet.
Oh my god. If you kids don't listen to that.
I had to listen to that multiple times to get the timing right.
Yeah, because you were probably just crying through it the first, 3 times.
To know when to start and stop.
Oh my god, that was awful. He said free at last. Mm-hmm. Man, fuck him. Yeah. I don't care what he was going through in his life. Fuck him.
There were a couple people, his wife actually begged him not to kill the kids.
Oh my god. Mm. They cannot make that decision themselves. They had no way to make that themselves. Mm-hmm. He killed all those kids.
Yep.
And he kept telling the moms, like, don't do this. Like, and I know what he's saying to them in that moment. Like, they were comforting their children. And I know he was saying, don't do this. Don't go like this. Die with your children, but don't do it this way. Like, he was mad at them for coddling them through it.
At 38 minutes, he says, "I don't care how many screams you hear or how many anguished cries. Death is 1,000,000 times preferable than 10 more days of this life."
Oh my god.
And then he says, "Adults, stop telling them they're dying. You're exciting your children."
What the fuck are you supposed to tell them?
And then he says, "Jim Cobb is laying on the airfield dead at this moment," followed by some exclamations. I don't know who Jim Cobb is. At 41:20, Jim says, "Where's the vat so the adults can begin? If you fail to follow my advice, you'll be sorry." So, I'm going to play you the last little bit. Okay. It's 42 minutes and 20 seconds. Originally, I thought you can hear his last words before he drinks it, but I don't think he had any because he was found shot in the head in his office.
Oh boy.
So I think he couldn't kill himself. He had someone else shoot him.
Okay. Which is fucking weak.
Yeah. You're going to have all these people do it, and then you're not going to even be able to do it yourself.
You're going to have little kids do it.
What a puss. All right. Ready?
Yeah. I mean, no, but, I have no choice.
And tell me when it goes quiet.
Okay.
take our life from us. We laid it down. We got tired. We didn't commit suicide. We committed an act of revolutionary suicide protesting the conditions of an inhumane world.
I'm kind of glad you played a little bit before that, though, because I heard him say, like, almost under his breath, I'm tired of all of this.
Yeah.
Which is just more proof that, like, it was not his belief. Like, it was not a religious belief that made him do this. He just didn't want to go alone.
I don't know how true that is. I think he meant, I'm tired of all this, because he expected this to be some ceremonial mass suicide.
Yeah.
And then people really started to die. And
he's like, this just needs to be over.
It was... Yeah, it probably wasn't like those white nights.
No.
It was...
No.
The actual death...
Watching kids die.
/ murder of 900 people.
I never want to hear another child cry from ingesting cyanide poison again. That was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I have an honorable mention for this one, too. I was on Reddit when I found this one.
We love a good Reddit.
Yes. A user claimed that 20 out of the 30 kids in his 4th grade class died that day. Someone asked how this person had such a connection, and the user said they had some close family friends that had joined gym before they moved to the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
And but this user's mother had just joined a Mormon church the month before, and she claimed it was too soon to switch religions again.
That's the only reason that kid's alive today.
Yeah. And the user is 420 Greg.
God bless 420 Greg.
420GREG. So.
Oh, that was a lot.
I had such a hard time trying to figure out what I wanted to do because I wanted it to be scary.
That is wholly terrifying.
And if something's not real, it doesn't scare me.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, this episode was a little fucked up, but...
Oh. I think it's nice that you started it off, like, very gentle.
Yeah.
Very gentle.
Yeah.
And then I just got a stick shoved up my ass for this last one, but that's okay. I'm still here.
Yeah.
That is very scary.
It's a very real episode. Oof.
Ow.
Yeah.
My face is hot. Fuck Jim Jones.
I felt bad for making you cry.
I would have I knew I was going to cry.
I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It was so bad, though. I almost cried when I listened to the Ruth one.
Yeah.
I was able to swallow that one a little bit, though.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely hope no one here is a sympathizer for Jim Jones. But if any of you think that any of that was okay...
There were a couple people who defected and ran away, and they ran like it was either miles or kilometers, but they ran like 30 miles through the jungle.
Yeah.
And they interviewed a couple of them, and the one she was young when she escaped, and
Mm-hmm.
she was like, I was gonna die that day. It was either gonna be in the temple or in the jungle.
It was neither, 'cause she's a bad bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
God. That reminds me of, have you heard of the Heaven's Gate cult?
Mm-mm.
That was another mass. It was not nearly as big as this. It was, I want to say, less than 20 people, but it was another mass suicide. I don't understand. Like I said, I can't imagine.
I believe that's another instance of mass hysteria
Yes.
or mass psychosis.
Yeah.
You get a bunch of people to believe something that isn't true.
Yep, because humans are inclined to, like, mob mentality, like pack mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how you survive.
Yeah, and a lot of these people wanted some comfort and someone to look up to, and Jim Jones gave it to them.
Yeah, they kept calling him father and, like, dad.
Yeah.
Nasty.
Yeah. Well, he was a pastor, so.
Yeah, but,
Father.
like, people were calling him, like, Dad. I'm thankful Dad, like, prepared me for this moment. So I think it went beyond just, like, the normal, like...
It also said on the Wikipedia page for him, it had a little column for his sexuality. And
What?
I looked, and he was strictly heterosexual.
Strictly.
With his wife. But there's evidence and claims that he would perform sexual acts with both men and women from the temple in order to keep them satiated in some kind of way.
Good for fucking him. Wow, what a good guy.
Yeah.
I hate him so much.
Not saying that, like, not implying that he wanted to do those things.
But that he did them because they needed it.
Yeah, or they wanted to.
Right.
So.
I'll put a feather in his cap.
Yeah, there's not really much to say after that.
No. I just hate him so much. I mean, I didn't particularly like him at all before this, but I definitely didn't have any sentiments towards him this strong.
Yeah, so join us next week.
Yes. Sorry, I'm a little winded after that. You will be too. You will be right here with me as you're listening, I'm sure. Yes, join us next week. It'll be me next week for episode 3 of Scary Sundays. You can find us at Crime in the Coconut on Instagram, at CITC Podcasts on Twitter. You can email us howmuchyouhatejimjones at crimeinthecoconut@gmail.com.
Subscribe to our Patreon.
Subscribe to our Patreon. I forgot about that.
Give us money.
Give us money. They have really cool tiers. You will get a little gift from whatever tier you join. It details on Patreon what you get for each individual tier. It's lots of fun stuff. At this point, our YouTube has been started too. I mean, so our YouTube has existed for a while because we post the episodes on YouTube, but now there will be videos. So make sure you subscribe to YouTube if you've been listening to us on a different platform.
Yeah. Also, if we get enough Patreon subscribers, I'll make an OnlyFans.
Ooh! And we can guest star. I can guest star. We can guest star. Everybody, we're showing up to Amanda's OnlyFans.
Yes. Everyone's invited.
Everyone's invited. So, wow. Well, I need to go see a therapist now. So, bye.
Bye.
Such are the autumn people. Beware of them.